From the alley-oops at Kezar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time.
It is.
And it is the time where things you thought you knew, absolutely you don't. Because guess what? A Sports Illustrated article has come out. And now questions about Trevor Lawrence are coming to light. Could Trevor Lawrence be taking the slide out of pick 1? And then what happens after that?
I know. I feel like I'm in an episode of Stranger Things. This is the Upside Down. And nothing is right set up. Nothing will ever be right set up again. That got sent in our group message this morning. Bunch of fun guys who love football and talk about things all the time. They sent the link to the article. Well, first off, they brought it up.
Yeah.
Because I can't believe Trevor said that. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? The SI article. And I was like, dude, I can't find it. Where is it? How do you have access to this thing? And I can't search it. Literally typed in Trevor Lawrence SI. Nothing popped up. All of a sudden, link comes through. Read the article, and I'm like, yo, what? Wait a minute. Hold up. This dude doesn't feel like he has anything to prove. Really? This guy doesn't care if he wins a Super Bowl or not. Really? What? How is that possible? How can you be one of the greatest quarterbacks in college, one of the greatest quarterbacks in college football history? Like, and just in terms of what he did for that program at Clemson, the fact that he did it as a true freshman off the jump right away, be bona fide, surefire number 1 pick since you were a freshman, since you were in high school, let's be real here, and you don't care about your legacy? How is that possible? How can you sit there and tell me that you're motivated to be the greatest of all time? He said one of the quotes in there was about how they talked about, what does he want out of football? And he said, I want to be the greatest ever. And it's like, okay, you want to be the greatest ever. How are you going to do that if you feel you have nothing to prove? How are you going to do that if you don't care about winning Super Bowls, which is legacy defining for a quarterback? I don't buy it.
Yeah, it makes me nervous. You have a former high school coach saying Trevor could retire tomorrow and be okay. You know, I mean, that doesn't signal love of football to me. And whenever you're talking about a draft pick, you want somebody that absolutely loves football, that this is their passion. They're going to put 100% into it, because when it's not your passion, then it gets miserable, right? Everything becomes a grind. It becomes hard to do. It's just not fun. And when that happens, then you start looking for other areas and things to do. Some people find coping mechanisms that get you into trouble. Others just walk away and just step away, and you're like, what's going on? So when it comes to this scares me as far as Trevor goes, because if I'm Jacksonville, I'm sitting there reading this like, wait a second. I want somebody that's absolutely all in. If I'm going to make the number 1 pick in the draft, he better be all freaking in on us winning, and us winning a Super Bowl. And if he's not...
And not just one, as many as possible.
Right. And if he's not, and there's a guy even close to his ability, I'm looking at that guy going, that guy sure as heck wants it. That guy wants to be the greatest. And that guy has told me that he loves football, and he's going to do this every single day because he wants to get better.
And let's be honest. The guys who are the greatest in any sport, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, they all have one thing in common: the competitive edge, the desire to be great, never being complacent. Under no circumstances whatsoever will they accept anything else other than winning.
True.
It doesn't sound like Trevor Lawrence has that. Now, he says it.
Yeah.
He says, I want to be the greatest ever, but I could retire tomorrow. Also, I don't need to win a Super Bowl. Also, I have nothing to prove. Those thoughts cannot all run in your head at the same time, and you be the greatest of all time. There hasn't ever been anyone to do it.
I don't know about you. I want my quarterback agonizing over the fact he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet.
I want my quarterback not only agonizing over it, but I want my quarterback after tough losses to not feel like, there's nothing to evaluate. And he had a comment similar to that. And I don't know if they just misquoted him or if he didn't understand like how the quote was coming off. But he essentially said, that he didn't feel like he needed to do anything different. from the loss against Ohio State. He knew he did everything that he possibly could, which I think we all agree and can understand. I don't think anyone played Trevor Lawrence and thought he wasn't trying to win that game or do everything that he possibly could. But the fact that he said, he doesn't look back on that game and think, worry about, what he could have done more. He did everything that he possibly could. And it's like, well, hold on a second. You came up short. You failed. You faltered. Of course there's something that you could have done differently. Of course there's something your team could have done differently. And as a leader, you should be looking at those things and trying to figure it out. Maybe it's not you. Maybe you didn't do anything, but maybe you weren't on the same page as your receivers. Maybe your coaching staff missed something. And I'm sorry, but as a player, as a leader, as a captain, guy who takes them out to battle, quarterback is, it's not the most important position in football, but it's the most important position on the field. You need a good quarterback to function as an organization. If you can't dissect things that are going on and help make decisions and changes on the fly, what good are you to your team?
I think it also adds the big question is, now if he did slide, if you're Jacksonville and you see this and you're like, whew, we maybe had a little bit of reservation already, and then this came out and you're like, you know what? We've been hearing some things from people that know him. This is nerve-wracking. And you pass and you go with Justin Fields or you go with Zach Wilson because they check all those boxes and you just have to hit on the first pick. And then the Jets sit there and they go, you know what?
If they're not taking
their pass,
we're not doing
we
it.
have the same reserves. We're moving too. Do the 49ers do they make that move? Is at that point worth, the risk? Or are you like, you know what? No, but then again, if Fields and Wilson are gone.
Listen, if Fields and Wilson are gone, if they go 1-2, because the Jags were just like, no, the Jets absolutely panic or like, word vomit out a guy that's not Trevor Lawrence, and Lawrence is sitting there at 3, and you're the Niners and you moved all the way up there. If Fields and Wilson were truly the two guys you were targeting, you have to go Lawrence, right? I don't know if I want to go Lawrence, but you have to go Lawrence.
Do you? You got Trey Lance
boxed in. Because here's the thing: if you don't take Trevor Lawrence and he goes off and becomes, what everyone thinks he can become. Let's say he wins a couple of Super Bowls. Even if he retires in 8 years, if he wins just one Super Bowl, and you passed on him there at 3, and you made the move all the way up for Trey Lance, and Trey Lance doesn't ever get you there. People are already talking about passing on Watson. They're talking about passing on Mahomes. If you pass on Trevor Lawrence, man, that's it. That is it. This fan base is going to eat Shanahan for lunch. They will burn down Mike Shanahan's house to get to Kyle Shanahan.
Well, I think if they're sitting there and they feel comfortable with him, then they'll make it. They'll make the moves.
It's true.
The real question is, how happy do you think they are? If they get him, because at that point, do you think he changes and all of a sudden he's got a chip on his shoulder? Because he's been number one his whole life. Number one. High school, college.
I show a moment of honesty, and you guys are going to dock me for that.
Oh, yeah. I think he gets a chip on his shoulder.
Let's hope so, man.
And wants to prove it. You hope.
Let's hope.
But you just don't know. And I'm sorry, if I'm the Jets and all of a sudden they take Fields at 1, I'm calling Atlanta. Hey, Atlanta, you want to trade?
You want Lawrence?
You want Lawrence? Come up. I'll go to 4. I'm happy with Wilson or Fields. And I would 100% do that, and I would just...
But they won't get Wilson or Fields.
Well, it's true they won't.
They would be happy with Lance.
You're right. They'd be happy with Lance.
Maybe that's what they're... Maybe that is a possibility. Now, I'll tell you what. If the Jacksonville Jaguars don't pull the trigger on Trevor Lawrence, and the NFL draft is going to descend into absolute madness. I mean, it is going to be insane.
I wonder what we hear leading up to the draft over the next almost 2 weeks. Is what is the ramifications of these comments, and do the Jaguars steadfast start to shake? They were steadfast on it. Do they begin to shake and just be like, you know what, we're more open than we thought?
I'll tell you what, Urban Meyer is a critical, classical overthinker who overthinks everything. This dude is not sleeping from now until draft day. He is not going to get a wink of sleep because those comments are terrifying.
It is. I don't think you ever want to hear anyone say that. Anytime that a football player says they have other interests in life, being a musician or singing, right away, football people cringe because
I cringe.
Yeah, right away, it's not a passion. And if you have something else that interests you, that means you have something else you devote your time to. If you have something else you devote your time to, you're not devoting that time to football. Football people don't understand it. I'm one of those people.
Well, and
I don't understand it.
That's anything, right? That's anything you
Yeah.
do in life. If you're going to do something and you want to be great at that thing, you got to devote your time to it.
It's true.
So if you're going into the NFL, which is this is your job. This is what they're going to pay you to do. Your job is to be the best that you possibly can be at this job. And Trevor Lawrence is pegged right now as someone who can not only be great, one of the greats
Yeah.
at this job. And you're telling people that, you want to be one of the greats. You want to be remembered as one of the greats. But also, this isn't the most important thing in my life. Bro, those two things, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You gotta, no. You have to devote, this has to be the most important thing. Football has to be the most important thing in your life. And maybe that's what he meant to say, is that football won't always be the most important thing in my life. And if that's the case, agent for Trevor Lawrence, get on your man here about answering questions in interviews and word selection and choice. Because if he just forgot to say that part, that football is the most important thing in my life and will be, but I know at some point it won't be. If that's what he meant to say,
I don't think he meant to say that.
I don't think he did.
Reading the way he was speaking, he did not mean to say that.
Nope.
I have no idea, and I always questioned. I never thought, questioned it. Never thought Trevor could fall. People would bring it up and I'd poo-poo it. I never thought it was going to happen.
I restarted both of my mock drafts this week because there was no chance.
I actually drafted Trevor Lawrence on the mock draft yesterday.
PFF was telling me they knew about this story before it even dropped.
I'm telling you, there is something in the water here. I don't know if he's going to fall, but there's definitely, for the first time, a reason that he could.
Absolutely. First chink in the armor, and we didn't think we'd see it until he was actually in the league.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to see it. I thought he was a lock for the number 1 pick, and he still might be.
He still probably is.
But I think now it went from a 90% chance to a 75% chance.
And that's a big freaking drop,
right,
ladies and gentlemen. That is a huge drop. But it's not dropping? Our subscriber count. It is still going up. You could help by clicking that subscribe button today. Right now at this moment, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell while you're at it, so that way you get more of this great content here where we're talking about Trevor Lawrence. Could he fall? Could he not? You don't want to miss any more of the content we have coming up. We got coming up here in the next couple of weeks, dark horses that the 49ers could target in the NFL draft. You don't want to miss that. We still got interior D linemen to talk about too in the upcoming NFL draft. You want to be here for this great content, and you want to be here on draft day.
Yeah, draft day is going to be so much fun. We're going to be giving live reaction every single pick that happens. We're going to give you the reaction. If the 49ers do something crazy, we're going to be right here for it, and you're going to want to ask questions, and we're going to want to have a conversation with you about it, and that's what we're hoping. And yes, until draft, a lot of great draft content is coming your way. Everything you need to know and every question that we need to ask each other and we want people to have conversations about, we're going to be bringing to you.
You don't want to miss any of this. You want to be here. You may not want to see me take my shirt off on draft day,
nope,
but you might get to see it just because the Niners may do something crazy. Or Trevor Lawrence could end up at pick 3 and I won't know what to do. But until then, 49ers fans, you stay safe.
Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.
I'm not going to lie, that feels weird.
Yeah, it's different.
It feels different.
Something odd.